Welcome back. Let me see. Welcome back. Welcome back. We're talking about Iyabo Ojo and the societal big wedding that they had over the past weekend. It's been trending. I think the trend kind of slowed down this morning, but even up to now, we still have many people talking about it. But I thought the chief would be able to speak to some of this
Yeah,
stuff.
well, I don't know if this is about the Iyabo Ojo per se or the daughter that got married. Is it
Ah,
Priscilla? What's
that's
her
a
name?
that's a good point that you picked up. But wait, let me give you some gist real quick, and then I'll let you take it away. Okay.
No.
But let me answer that question. Is it about Iyabo Ojo or about Priscilla Ojo and Juma
Yeah,
Jukes?
that's
I
right. They
think.
were the ones that got married, but this suddenly became about, and it's part of the cruise.
Well,
It's because
I think in our culture, in our culture as Nigerians, I think it's about Iyabo Ojo, maybe slightly about Juma Jukes because he's also a super powerful person and popular person in Tanzania. It doesn't take away from Priscilla, who is also Iyabo Ojo's daughter. But let me read this to you, and then I really want to get your take on this, right? There's this report on Daily Times Nigeria. It says the wedding of Priscilla Ajoke Ojo, daughter of Nollywood actress Iyabo Ojo and Tanzania music star Juma Jukes, has been described as the most glamorous celebrity union of 2025 so far, blending Nigerian opulence with East African elegance. The celebration were nothing short of a cultural spectacle and a symbol of African unity. All right, so they have multiple different events that has been going on, but in this last weekend they had a pre-wedding glamour. They had over the last 8 months because they met only 8 months ago. They've had a pre-wedding glamour and proposal. They've had a Tanzania Nikai ceremony on February 7, 2025. They've had a Yoruba traditional wedding in Lagos. That was April 17, 2025, which is just a few days ago. And of course, they had the white wedding on, I think that was on Saturday or Sunday. And they have one, according to Iyabo Ojo, there's one more event coming up in Tanzania. It's been a big deal. But here, our title says Iyabo Ojo and ex reunite for Priscilla's wedding to Juma Jukes. So there's been a lot of talk
yeah,
around the fact
well,
that they were single
so
parents
mm,
and somehow they reunited together. I wonder you to speak to that.
well,
Whatever comes to your mind.
for me, I know as a father, at some point, that responsibility, that duty will be there. And for anybody that has had to deal with uh, situation of a broken relationship, it often looks like, oh, the spouses involved would become two parallel lines that would never meet. But because of the children, the paths would always cross. Remember how I paraphrased um, what Obafemi Awolowo said when he was to quit the administration, the cabinet of General Yakubu Gowon. In that resignation letter, he said, if we are related, we would meet. If we are related, we would always meet. And when a man and a woman have whether cohabited or have been married, and then there is a breakup, the relationship, the connecting thing that would always bring them together would be the children in their lives. Too bad if no child is involved. Very unfortunate, but it still doesn't make it less important too. That some things would always make their paths to cross. So I see an element of mischief in the headline that says that they they reunite. Reunite for what? It is natural for the father of this lucky bride to come around and lead the hand to the altar. Basically, that is what. But you know, the way we
Let
often
me let me let me let me interject you real quick, sir. You said it
Yes.
is natural, but I want you to juxtapose that with a couple of examples, maybe one. There was
Yes, I
the
know.
wedding. There was a wedding of
Talking
the
about this
daughter.
daughter. Talking
No,
about this
that
daughter.
so that's two. Let me give you the first. Okay, let me go with that one first. There's the Tokwe
Mhm.
Alabi daughter. That one is quite different because she was actually raised by somebody else. But there's another one which is Pastor Chris Oyakilome's daughter. After the separation from the wife and the divorce, the
Mhm.
daughter had a wedding, and the wife was not present at the wedding that was made public to everybody. So now that you said it's pretty natural, that would be the woman who was not at the wedding that is public, right? But also for the Tokwa Labesi, what do you mean by natural? Killer mean? As in, like,
See,
where is the
the
exception here?
natural place of the father is to lead the daughter's hand during such a moment. But some people have this some people have this personality that is so difficult to really um, define. They just want to push themselves in that space that, I did this, I did that. You cannot you cannot take the shine off the father of the bride or the father of any child, whether at graduation or whatever. If what you're going to do is to begin to want to flex and show that you are something, that father or mother, they reserve the right to want to say, okay, I step back, let him lap it up. But ultimately, that blessing, the blessings that come from the true biological parents, it's never going to come. Ultimately, there will be a time to reckon with the relevance of any man or any woman. So anybody can pretend to be the cynosure.
The father and the mother.
Yes, anybody can pretend about it. But what is spiritual, what is traditional, what is normal is to allow for, no matter the circumstance of the breakup, let these people enjoy it. And it does not even matter if somebody else raises the child, because it's not good. Don't think any of the parents uh, view it with what's it called, with pleasure, that they are not there to raise their own children. I mean, their children as they ought to. So, circumstances. For example, how you going to justify a situation in which a man is pushed aside or a woman is pushed aside because of their economic situation? That happens.
So question, sir.
Some people, for no reason, they are just ashamed of their parents, maybe because that parent has some adversity or some economic misfortune. Some people don't want to just identify with them. But there are some mean-spirited parents too who are just simply irresponsible. May God never make us one such parent.
Question for you, sir. What about a situation where it is actually? I think you just alluded to that, but let me hear it clearly. What about a situation where the child is the one who doesn't want the father there? I've seen a very close situation where the daughter is the one who said, this man is not going to walk me down the aisle. He has an invitation if he wants. However, is the person who raised me, my uncle, who will be walking me down the aisle. I've seen that situation. That's one. Two, what about the situation where the man is not interested in being in the life of his kid? In fact, he left a long time ago and he's not really interested. They've actually reached out to him on multiple occasions to participate in his children's life. He's just, for whatever reason, is just not participating. What about those two situations, sir?
Tough posers, but easy answers to them. See, if a daughter would not likely come to that point in which she says, "Oh, I don't want my father to play any role. Let my uncle hold me by the hand and what have you." Maybe, and God forbid, you don't know if that father was a molester. You do not know if that father was a molester. But if that is not the case, I mean, it would be justified if the father was a molester or a sexual predator against the daughter that would make the daughter want to make such a profound statement that, oh, I don't want this father in my life. But if it is about being manipulated finding herself in a situation in which a mother deliberately on purpose decided to set another narrative apart from the truth of what actually transpired between the two of them. For example, a mother who on purpose would reject a man because of changing circumstance. If that woman is now, or if that man is now pushing a false narrative about what happened, there would always be natural justice, retributive justice, that somewhere along the line, that this man was robbed of his natural place. That is number one.
So if he was robbed, I'm with you on that. If he was robbed, because Marriott is asking in the chat again, how about if he was absent?
What made him absent? For example, some men.
I have an example. This person was actually a drunken master. He was just a guy who is an alcoholic. He was never present when he was there. After the divorce, he still wasn't present, even after they gave him opportunity to participate in his children's life.
All very unfortunate.
So if that child,
wait.
Uh-huh.
On the surface, it looks so simple to say that, oh, somebody is an alcoholic, and then we jump into the conclusion that he is being irresponsible. What?
No. I'm not saying that. Let me finish it. I'm not saying that. That's just happened to be the circumstance, right? Now, I was leading in the direction of the child don't have a relationship. We cannot, obviously, we're not judging the child or even the father, but that's the circumstance, right? They don't have a relationship with this person. The only thing they know is that he's absent. I'll give you a quick example so you can go, sir, and I'll let you round up, sir. Kirk Franklin, right? The greatest gospel singer in the world. Okay. He's 50 something years old, about 54, 55 years old now. He just found his biological father, who all the while lived down the street from him, right? But he's struggling. He met the guy. He was curious, but in terms of the actual relationship, the human brain is a very funny thing. He does not have that relationship, so they have to kind of try to nurture and build that from scratch, because he never knew this guy, because the mother never showed who the actual biological father was, right? He was under the impression it was somebody else. You see what I'm saying? So now those are you are correct, sir. These are extreme situations, but they are actually much more common than we realize. This very simple part of it, the child doesn't feel a sense of closeness, no relationship with the father. So because of that, they can't comprehend the idea that this person is walking me down the aisle.
See, you have set up certain cultural hypotheses about this. Let me tell you, it's so easy for people to set all these things up and get away with it in places like America and United Kingdom. But when you bring it back to our socio-cultural milieu as people of Yoruba race in Africa, what will simply sum it up is this: I hope you can relate with that. People here cannot relate with the fact that ultimately the child's father would always be the father, or the child's mother would always be the mother. Here it's so easy for anybody to manipulate the circumstance and tell whatever cock and bull story and get. For example, you mentioned Kirk Franklin. We all know him. But he was given the consciousness that another person was the father. Now he finds the real biological father. It happened in the case of a well-known American athlete. The father always prayed for him silently, quietly. He was shut out completely out of the son's life. But the son was a multi-millionaire athlete here. He was one day, he said, he went to the locker room. May I be allowed to see Mr. So-and-so? He never really flaunted it that is the father. And then he got to the presence of his son, and they spoke in whispers, and the boy, that is another swing, another view to the kill. That son, in spite of being a well-known celebrity, calmed down and said there had always been that hole in his heart, that vacuum somewhere, and at that moment he felt fulfilled, and there was nothing to discuss with the father. Just took him in his car, and they were just driving round and round and round and round and round. What it means, the moral of it is that no matter the circumstance, no matter how fast and how hard falsehood thrives, or tribes or runs, truth will take off and catch up and overtake someday. You know, people in the world in which we live, the material world in which we live, people do all sorts of things. I know fathers who are dying to be involved in the lives of their children. I know mothers who are dying to be involved in the lives of their children, but they are never given the opportunity. And this is
that would be a scenario which I agree with you on that. That single mothers who do that, they need to change. I agree with you on that.
Not just mothers, fathers also. I know fathers who behave as if they are kidnappers. They don't want the mothers of their children to play any role in the lives of the children.
Right,
that is unfair.
Right. So that would be that scenario. I think we all agree on that one.
Yes,
right?
Ultimately, all the point I'm making, if either of the parents die in the circumstance, particularly the one that has been unjustifiably denied access to the children, or the children being denied access to their father, you know, the vacuum, the hollowness will be there for eternity, and there won't be the opportunity of closure. I struggle every day to make sure that I have closure to everything. Call people, no matter the circumstance, whatever you've been told may not be the absolute truth. This is my story. It doesn't matter what anybody else is telling you.
There are three things I want to bring. I guess this is a hot topic. Please engage the conversation in the chat even after.
Before you bring that, I find
not now.
No, just please.
Okay.
I find it most appropriate at this point to commend Iyabo Ojo, to celebrate her as a true quintessential Yoruba African mother. In spite of the fact that she and this Mr. Ojo hadn't been together for a long time, never did anything to mess up, to create any fogginess in the kind of relationship that should exist between Priscilla and the father. She indeed is a true woman, and she ought to be celebrated, and I celebrate her. She ought to be celebrated, and I celebrate her. So absolutely. I'm listening. Yes, I don't want to forget that point.
No problem. So you mentioned a couple of things. No matter how far, you see, I'm agreeing with a lot of things you're saying. The place where I think a lot of people struggle, and the struggle comes from a real place. That place is application of all the concepts that you're talking about that I agree to. In terms of how it applies in real life, is I'm reading this comment from Mario. It says, I know a man who went to the US and abandoned all his 3 children, all in their 30s now, pits them against each other when he decides to call. Mom was waiting for him too. It didn't appear this man was absent from his children's lives. You see, just the same point you made earlier on, which is the fact that it's easy to paint a certain picture, right? Until we start to dig through and we start to get into details, and we start to notice that, again, in agreement with you, that it's a lot of mudded up detail in what's transpired in people's lives to make it look the way it looks today, or to create a narrative from one person's perspective, right? So I agree with that. With that being said, we've arrived at a situation where a child doesn't feel a sense of relationship with a father. Now, here's the thing with the father. You said something about a father will be a father. I think we might need to define father.
Or fatherhood.
Thank you. You've written a piece about this in the past, sir. I remember that. Aha. Yeah. So there is a difference between being a biological father and fatherhood. there is something, there is some nuances there that we need to fully understand, right? So, and it doesn't mean it's always so a matter of fault that I'm pointing out is a matter of circumstances. So in that case, right, that a person wakes up one day, I'm saying just as much as we are celebrating the Iyabo today, there are certain people that may find themselves in situations. First of all, Iyabo has done some work on herself behind the scenes before we can see the result we're seeing today.
Agreed.
Right. So if we're going to celebrate that, we'll celebrate all of the work she's done on herself to create what we're looking at today. The man himself, we don't have the full detail. I would say kudos to him too, because he can yell with it and just say, "Hey, give me $10,000. I'll do an interview and cast everybody right now." He can also decide to do that.
that really would be some unusual degree of madness.
It's very common these days. People are casting their family to tell stories.
Episode to catch out.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to hear that story, right? So it's quite enticing for somebody to offer him in his DMs that kind of money, right? I see Mara says it did. Okay, I already read that. So I'm saying, when you said truth, what is truth? A part of the truth is the experience that child is having, or that they had, to come to that conclusion. The experience could have been they were lied to, like you said, right? It could have been a certain narrative, or they were much more exposed to one side of the story, right? So that became their truth. So now we need to define truth as well. What truth is going to last? Do we not know of stories that the truth does not come out until 3 generations later, or never?
But
maybe it's called secrets.
Yeah, you still come back to that point. Through 3 generations down the line, ultimately it comes out.
Or never. It's called secrets. I said that. You missed that.
Well, secrets, it's not as if secrets do not come out, just that you need to allow for time. For example, people are contending about, how did was Abiola murdered? Was he not murdered? Now all those details cannot be out yet. Remember, I was telling you about how Jonathan was pushed out, the international conspiracy and all that. I said those things are still classified. Is it that some of us do not know some truth, but that truth we just keep within us? For example, if anybody, my attitude about some of these things is that if a child doesn't want to embrace you, you don't get desperate about it. There are millions of children out there looking for non-biological fathers, somebody to just play that role in their life. If you are not somebody that is really fixated on, it has to be my biological child or not, somebody will be there. You can put smiles on several people's. You can become father to 1 million children out there that are not related to you biologically, but because of what you do, good causes, they are yours, and they will never forget your impact in their lives. I would console everybody dealing with one situation or the other that makes it so difficult for them to be actively involved in the lives of their children, that they should look for good causes to latch on to. I mean, if you are not selfish, it doesn't, even when those children are around you, if you are blessed enough, let it not be that they are you are confined to that circle alone. Just impact your world, impact people around you. But concerning this one, honestly, I find it so appropriate to celebrate Iyabo Ojo. And for every woman, for every man that has the option, but chooses not to be vindictive, not to weaponize the children in their lives, yes, they will be celebrated in my heart. I have flowers, wreaths for them in my heart. I love people like that. And that is why I love Jesus Christ as well. You know, I love Jesus Christ as well. He had no child in this world, but yet he said, let the children come unto me, forbid them not.
I will also
So,
add on to
yeah,
this, and feel free to.
we should not be involving our children
Mhm.
in our trouble so much so that we let them miss out on what they should enjoy from people who should play critical roles in their development and in their lives.
Right. I will also add this to what you're saying. I think it's a well-founded advice to single parents. You know, I actually have a 1 hour video I will drop tomorrow at 12 noon. It's already scheduled on this topic. I definitely think that's a well-founded advice for single parents. The other side of that equation is where I want to add something to it, which is there's a gross overestimation of what it means to be a biological father
Or
or even
mother.
or mother or even mother at that. You know, if the relationship has been tampered with or tarnished due to your own personal shortcomings, there's consequences for that, and you will have a lot to pay for that. If you did your own part in maintaining relationship, especially in the developing years of your children, they will never forget. It's not even a matter of forgetting. It's part of their identity. There is no such thing as forgetting. Even if they tried.
But haven't you seen some children coming to you, I mean, to their parents to say, "Oh, I never remembered you. I never remember you playing any role in our lives." Oh, that's like what we're talking about.
It's if again, you know, it's a
It's
very
selective memory.
no,
Selective
you know,
memory.
it depends. I have to look at the overall big picture here. Is
Right.
the what you just explained, is that possible? Yes. In the short term, it's possible. In an event, in the event of some kind of back and forth, it is possible for them to alter certain things. In the overall, in the long run, in the last, there's a way you phrase this thing. In the last analysis,
In the final
in the
analysis.
final analysis, overall, if we're patient, if you were actually an integral part of the development of that person, remember what I just said, not just
That's right.
money. This is just not money. If you were a part of this person's development, even if you're not,
Always taking your children to the playground. You were there during their
they,
concert. You
yes,
were the one taking them to school, whether you could
things
drive
like
or you
that.
could not drive.
Yes,
And then
if
the
you
child will
were,
not remember all that and will say, "Oh, you have
yes,
never played any role." You
for
use your last dime to say, "Oh, this is a bicycle for you. This is your football."
yes,
And then that child says, "Oh, I don't remember you doing anything in my life." You know
right.
how painful that could be for either a man or a mother.
No, it could be for anybody, for any side of the gender. So,
Oh,
for example, in the beginning, I told you a fond memory that I record of me dancing around the community in Ayede Ogbese during Easter.
that's right.
You cannot take that away from my brain.
And as somebody comes there, it never happened.
Yeah, exactly. What do you
What
mean?
a,
Never happened. So
what a shame.
I can,
Yeah.
you can say you gave me 50 kobo when I was 9 years old, and I can say it never happened. You know, like
That's right.
minuscule, stupid details like that. Yes,
Yes.
but there's some things that are not, when it comes to emotional development of a person or experience of a person, there are things that are not minutiae like that at all that you can remove from a person's brain. No, so literally there's some other things that, you know, if people say some things to you over and over, yes, it can maybe mess with the memory a little bit, but overall,
Let me quickly tickle your sense of humor and memory. When as I came to this country, I remember my first son was about 2 years old, and I had this fortune of interviewing the former head of state of Liberia, the woman that was appointed the head of interim administration there. And that interview took place in the office of the president of Pittsburgh State University. I was dead in a three-piece suit, pick of code, and I didn't have the resources to get a babysitter for my son Oluwaseun, and I dragged him out also in a three-piece suit, tie, everything, and then while interviewing that Liberian head of state, do you know that our personal security details were babysitting Oluwaseun for me?
Yeah.
How do I forget that
You
kind of
can't.
scenario as a father?
So Sean, you can say,
carrying him along, or
yeah,
carrying him along to KU to interview
exactly,
General Buba Marwa when he was
exactly,
aspiring to become Nigerian president.
precisely. So you can say, hey,
These are
Oluwaseun,
details that yes.
you can say, Oluwaseun, in 2013 I gave you 200, and Sean can say, I don't remember
No.
that.
you
But
don't want to
but
even refer to your
but
father talks like that.
but
Yeah,
but you know, just as an example, right? But
that's right.
can Sean remember being babysat by some kind of interesting scenery around him?
Yeah, security details to the president of another country.
Exactly.
In
So
the
we
office of the president of a prominent university like that.
so now what I'm saying is that those things is what fathers and mothers, those experiences is what they need to, because some people will say you were never around. There's some spoiled children that will count the number of years you were around because you were out working too.
Yes.
Where
They're not really around. They don't even know that it's part of the sacrifice you have to
thank
make
you.
that
So
they don't grow up around a tense, in a tense atmosphere.
thank you. So they're counting time as opposed to, you know, you will have your children count time if you don't have a few of those experiences. But who is counting time? All the time I spent in Owo is no more than 4 years. In my head, it feels like 40 years.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
92 to 96, that's about it. But this is so I tell fathers, like, no, like, okay, if something happens and people
part of those years was when I took you your daddy's Mercedes Benz, and then we were visiting this
yeah,
girlfriend.
all that happened in that 4 years.
And we caught her cheating.
All that happened in that 4 years. It feels so many experiences, right?
Yes.
So if we focus on impactful experiences and like, if something happens to your relationship with the ex-partner, yes, there will be situations where they will attempt, or not even always directly, just because they are telling their stories in front of their kids and stuff like that. It might seem like they are sowing seeds. If you just remember what I just said today, the experiences cannot be taken away from them. In the short time, it might feel that way because there might be back and forth and stuff like that. If you just rest and know that all is going to be well, in due time. Remember what you said earlier on. The truth is undefeated. The truth is the experience. The truth is not your label as a biological parent. So if you understand, and if you don't get that, if you overreact, you also create another type of experience that they won't forget.
Yes.
So that's really what I wanted to add on to celebrating Iyabo, because what we saw in the last 3 days is worth celebrating, because it feels like there was a 30 years of celebration. It was all 3 days that is going to be gone and we forget, because something else will happen next weekend. You know, but Mara says baby amnesia. So you were dancing up and down in the town square, MOP.
That's right.
Blossom says, play your roles as a parent in your children's life. That's the primary responsibility, and allow future posterity to judge. I like that. Blossom also say, our prayer as parents is that God should give us merciful children. That's interesting. So yeah, I think it's a bigger topic than there's this sympathy we feel for parents who might have been on the bad end of our custodial battles.
That's right.
And oftentimes when we operate with sympathy, I think we also miss out a big piece of it, and that's that's why I wanted to spend some time, because these children will become individuals on their own, and they will decide off of their experiences. Anything else you wanted to add, sir?
No, it's all right. Let us just continue to catch our cruise, and the kind of joy and whatever this what's it called, artists, these actors and actresses, whatever fun they bring our way, let us lap it up, and know that it's part of the reality of the world in which we live in. Sometimes they savage themselves through whatever they call fracas in the social media. We
Mm.
are not part of that. Just for us to make sure that, we
I
strive on.
like how you keep saying and mothers or fathers. It could be any side of it. I like how you keep
That's
saying
right.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Nobody should come and play. I mean, some cherubic arrogance here, saying, "Oh, I'm an angel." No, we all are guilty as charged, and yeah, just that. Yeah, yes, yes. So thank
All
you so
right.
much. Yeah.
Hit like, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so that you can know when we're dropping videos. We're always dropping content, so make sure you're plugged in on everything. Quick shout out to Blossom Show, shout out to Marriott, shout out to Life with Natu all the way from Nigeria, plugging in. Natu, don't waste your
Uh,
data. You need your data.
Well, not to my sincere gratitude. We
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that you are part of this community. Thanks so much for always being there with us.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Take care and God bless.